Hi guys, now we're looking at we studied algebra, but we're looking for solve for x quadratic equations. So let's quickly look at our first example here. Whenever we're trying to solve for x, this is the approach that I normally use. You're looking at the factors of the last term, because you can see here we have three terms. So we have 1, 2, 3 terms, and our terms are of this format: a x squared plus bx plus c, as you can see. So in this case our a is 1, our b is 8, and our c is 7. So when you're trying to solve or when you're trying to factorize this one, you need to look at the last term, and our last term here is 7. So we need to look at factors of the last term. The factors of the last term, so we only have 1 times 7, nothing else. So we're looking at two factors that when we multiply them, they give us the last term. When we multiply them, they give us the last term, and when we add or subtract them, they must give us the middle term. So you see clearly 8 is equal to 1 plus 7. So these two factors, they qualify to help us here. So we open our bracket, you close it, you open it, you close it, you're putting your 0. So we have two factors, so we keep our x here. So we just have 1 and 7, and they're both positive. Hence our x is equal to minus 1, or our x is equal to minus 7. This is coming from saying that if we're saying 1 or x plus 1 is equal to 0, or we're saying x plus 7 is equal to 0, that's where we're getting x is equal to minus 1 or x is equal to minus 7. But if you're looking at it, it means for this to be true, either this part here is equal to 0, because if this part here is equal to 0, then you multiply that with that part here, obviously you're getting 0. So either one of them must be 0 for this to be equal to 0, so for this to be true. Let's look at our second example. Okay, so sometimes or some student, if you used to work with this, and then now you're getting something like this, the format looks a little bit different, because now our c is 0 in this case. But you see, we can easily look at it, and we can look at the common factor. Hence here we have a common factor of which is x, because we have x squared here, and we have 11x here. So we can take out our common factor of which is x. So if we're taking out the common factor, what we'll be left with is x inside. We left with x plus 11 is equal to 0. So we took out a common factor. So there is x here squared, there is x here to the power 1. So we took 1x, or x to the power 1, we took it out, and then we'll be left with x to the power 1, and we took the x here out, so we just left with 11. And then in this case, the solution is, it's either x is equal to 0 or x plus 11 is equal to 0. Between the one of them, it's either x is equal to 0 or x is plus 11 is equal to 1. That therefore we can say x can be equal to minus 11. So we solve for x. Let's look at our third example now. If you're looking at our third example, you know the principle is the same. We're always looking at the last term and the factors of the last term. So our last term here is 20. Our last term is 20. Factors of the last term, we start with 1. 1 times 20. We look at 2 times 10. 3 doesn't make it, because 3 doesn't go to 20 without a remainder. Look at 4. Yes, 4 does. 4 times 5. what else? You have to look at 5, and then it's become the same, because if you're looking at 5, it will be 5 times 4. So these are all factors that we have here. But you see now, our middle term is minus x, so that is minus 1. The coefficient is minus 1. So we need the numbers, that the factors that when we multiply them, they give us 20. When we add them, they must give us minus 1. Which terms are there? So if you're looking at it, you want to get minus 1. These two terms seems to be perfect for what I'm looking for. So we need to get minus 1. So how can I get minus 1? Can only get minus 1 from looking at 4 minus 5. 4 minus 5 is minus 1, right? So what I am going to do now, that therefore opening my brackets, so we have x and we have x, it's all equal to 0. So our factors is 4 and 5, and from here you can see our 4 is positive, so our 4 is positive, and our 5 is negative. That's why we're going to have negative here. Same thing apply. You're going to say x is equal to minus 4, or x is equal to positive 5. Hence you have done solving for x. You have got the solution. So again, I have exercise here. You can go through it. You can look at our exercise. We have 1, 2. You have 1. And then you see I made some note there at the bottom that you can use the general formula where necessary. You can try it by your own and see, and feel free to let me know if you need any PDF format of this, or if you have any question. Thank you so much guys for watching.